So looking at the Feng Shui Essentials, what we're going to do is go back to some of the basics, some of the sources. I'll try and do it in a way that's also interesting for my colleagues and people who've been doing Feng Shui for many years. But it's also to help people who are coming here for the first time or new to Feng Shui understand the rest of the conference. I preface it by saying that, in my humble opinion, we have what we call our observational reality. So we probably all agree we're in a room. I'm standing at the front talking at the moment, because these are observational realities to us. What we all do with every subject, but of course Feng Shui is the same, we take observational reality and start to try and give it some meaning. So we want to have explanations for the world we live in and for ourselves. And there we start to develop mental concepts and constructs and principles and theories that exist in our minds. There's a question about whether that's reality or not, or just in our minds. So we would say there's a border between England and Scotland. Well, it's only in human heads that it exists. You know, for the rabbits and birds and bees, there's no border there at all. It's not there in reality, but we think it is, and therefore it kind of exists. Does that make sense? So I think when we're doing a subject like Feng Shui, in our own minds, we have to sort of always keep coming back to where we feel, at least for us, the observational reality is, and then where we start to move into theories and constructs. Because it really helps us understand these subjects and differentiate different aspects of the subject itself. So, for example, in Feng Shui, we say there's different energies, which may suggest that there was some kind of line in the room, and when I cross it, I'm in, for example, wood energy, and if I go this way, I'm in fire. Well, that doesn't really exist. It's a man-made construct that helps us understand some principles, but there isn't a line in this room. Nothing's happening if I go from one side to the other. So what we're going to look at is go all the way back to the observational realities and see where that takes us. And we could say that the biggest source of energy, or we would call it qi in Feng Shui, in our solar system is the sun. It's the center of the solar system. It provides light and heat, and the gravitational field that keeps the Earth in orbit around the sun. And therefore, when we're thinking about Feng Shui and Qi, we're looking at that biggest source in terms of how it affects us. And of course, there's lots and lots of research on how our moods change, our physical chemistry changes, depending on how much sunlight we have. So when we're thinking about homes and buildings, what we're looking at is, at the beginning, we can look at the exposure to the sun. How much sunlight does this building get? Is it in a forest and therefore a bit dark and shady? Is it in the north side of a mountain and doesn't really get much sun? Is it on the south side of the mountain and gets lots of sun? Is it in an open place and gets lots of sun? Or in a city, is it near the top, getting lots of sun, or near the bottom? So where the building is going to change our exposure to the sun, which we would say is the biggest source of qi that we can have. Then we can think about, well, does it have big windows or small windows? Which side of the building are the windows? So if we move to an apartment that's north-facing in London, it might have big windows, but it won't have much sun. So we would have to say that it's going to be a low-energy space. So what we're thinking about all the time is our exposure to the sun. And that leads us to these two words that we use quite a lot, which is yin and yang. Yang is something that's more exposed to the sun, yin is something that's less exposed. So if we're looking at Chinese medicine, all the yang meridians are on the sunny side of our body, front, sides, back, outsides. All the yin meridians are on the shady side, so the inside of our arm coming from the armpit, or from our feet on the inside of our legs. So if I was standing like this would all be the shady part. Those would be the yin meridians. So the basics of Feng Shui is looking at this interplay of sun and shadow, and we're trying to recognize the yin and the yang in those two observational realities we have. And we're saying that in an active sunny environment we become more yang, and in a shady, darker, cooler environment we become more yin. And so, from everyone okay so far? Makes sense? Yeah. So from there we move on to thinking about, well, how can we change and alter these things? So we have our big source of qi, and then we have smaller sources of qi. So we have sunlight coming in on that side of the room, some of the sun's energy, but it's very weak, we would say. Apart from the curtains, there's another building opposite, and it's a cloudy day as well, so we're not getting that much sun energy. However, we, all of us, the 70 or so people in this room, are also sources of energy. So I would say at the moment it's the human energy that's mostly influencing this room, more than anything else. We're all energy sources. And what we're thinking, our mood, our emotions, they're all changing the energy of the room. And so it's responding, and we're to that extent feeding off each other. So if we're generally sort of in an open up mood, that's going to be the energy of the room. So also we could have other indoor sources of qi. So in a typical space that would be plants with the qi generators. If you have pets, cats, dogs, it could be those. So you can think about your home and where the sources of qi are and what they are. Some of them will be, like if you have a wood floor, you could say that there's still some qi from the tree still in there, but it's going to be quite weak compared to a living plant, and much weaker than a human. So think about the sources of qi you have around you, and then that will help you define, along with the sun and light, how much qi there is in a space. So if you want more of that qi, then have more plants, get more cats, whatever it is you like, or be with more people, have parties, etc. And you will expose yourself to more of that qi. You'll be in the qi. Then, so that's number one, sources of qi, and the primary one is the sun. I would say for us the secondary one is other people, and then plants, etc. Going on from that, we can change the qi. So we have the ability to adjust the qi and change it. And we could think then easy ones would be, if it's sunlight, reflective surfaces will adjust how the qi. So if you've lived in an apartment with a polished wood floor, for example, or polished marble floor, the sun coming in through the windows reflects back up, and you could almost double the sun's qi in the space. Sometimes it's almost like you have to wear sunglasses at home because the sun's so bright coming up off a polished white floor. I moved to Portugal, and there the streets have these kind of tiny white tiles. I don't know if anyone's been there, but they really bounce the sunlight back. So normally in sunny places I try not to wear sunglasses to give my eyes the exercise, but I just can't. It's just too strong because it's doubling up that sunshine. So we can use mirrors, any kind of reflective surfaces to adjust how the sunlight comes into a space. So often you'll have a window and you can strategically place a mirror to catch the sun and reflect it back into a darker part of the room, which would then, in the Feng Shui theory, energize that part of the room. And it would enable us to do things with that space that we can't do when it's dark. So the current trend with buildings is our white walls, but they are useful in that they reflect back the more or less the whole frequency of sunlight. So they're good for bringing energy back into space. It adds energy to a room. And so those would be different ways we can reflect qi. Then we could move on to different ways that we can change qi. And I would say the primary way we do that is with colours. So the sun produces all the frequencies, but if we have something like our red logo, only the red frequencies are coming back, and therefore we've changed the qi of the sun. So if we're wearing certain kinds of clothes, I would have all the qi coming from the window through my outer energy field to my clothes, but only in my case the blue frequencies coming back through my own energy field. So I think everyone's had the experience, you're working all day in an office, go home, take off your clothes, put some different clothes on, and just like that you feel different. Emotions change. If you have a shower in between, it's even stronger. The water can wash away some of that external qi. So the colours that we wear, or the colours of a room, then start to change the qi there. By, if you like, filtration, the colours are filtering out certain kinds of qi and then just leaving other ones there. So if this was a red room, if this room was the colour of your top, it would be dominated by those frequencies. And then if it was your blue top, almost the opposite, it would be dominated by a different kind of frequency which would change the qi of the space. And we would respond to it differently. There's a lot of research now on how we respond to colours, and it suggests the red room would be more careful and more cautious. It's a danger colour for us, so we'd be kind of being a little more careful. The blue, if it was a blue, we would be a bit more discussing and open-minded and creative. That's what the research suggests. So we're then looking at things that we could say literally change the energy of a space according to how the sun's energy behaves within a certain space. Does that make sense? You can just think of it as light, it makes it easier. But if you have a south-facing home, big windows, you're going to get lots of sunlight. If you have reflective surfaces and white walls, you're going to get maybe too much sunlight. It will almost be blinding on a sunny day, but you would have loads of energy in that space. If you had a north-facing apartment with small windows, it's going to be a low-energy space. However, we can use plants, people, cats, dogs, all kinds of other energy sources to try and increase that energy. And the little energy that comes in, we can reflect back into the room using reflective surfaces. At the same time, we can filter the energy, we can change the quality of the energy using colours. So, everyone all right so far? Making sense? Yeah. Then we can go on to say, if the human energy is one of the sources, then the things in our home that change our own energy will then change the energy of the space. So if there was a picture that you really like and it makes you feel happy, then that picture may not be changing the energy of the space, but if it changes you and your emotions, then you end up changing the energy of the space. So a lot of what we could say Feng Shui works on is the idea that humans respond to things, and their responses then change the energy of spaces. And in which case then we start to think about, well, what do we have in our home and how do I respond to those things emotionally? So we're in a big range of things, but it could be art, it could be colours, it could be furniture, it could be symbolism, it could be messages and affirmations and quotes. Huge number of things that we can put in our home that would be emotionally changing for us and therefore energy changing. And how to do that, I think it's very important then to think how your home can best serve you in life. What do you want to do with your life? So imagine you're going to live till you're 90, you've got X number of years left, what would you like to do in that time? And then how does your home serve you to do that? What do you need in there to help you succeed? And that's where we're, in a sense, trying to feed our unconscious minds. So right now your unconscious mind is busy working away, and none of us know what they're doing. We have no idea what our unconscious is doing, and yet, allegedly, it makes about 80% of our decisions. So, for example, let's say we're all in, let's say we're tomorrow on the walkabout, we're hungry, we want lunch, and we decided it's a certain kind of lunch we want, healthy eating, and we've got a budget, and so on. So, in our conscious minds, we start going into restaurants and looking. That's on the menu, there are the prices. But maybe one of us just says, no, this isn't going to work, and walks out. If it's an unconscious mind decision, which most of our decisions probably are, that person would have no idea why they made the decision. If we said, well, what was wrong with that place? All they could probably say is it didn't feel right, or I wasn't comfortable with it, or I don't know, but it just doesn't work for me. Because we never know what our unconscious is doing. So if we are working with Feng Shui, part of it is to work with our own unconscious in a way that helps our unconscious make the decisions that we want to make to succeed in life. Obviously, if you had a shop or a restaurant, you want your shop or restaurant to work with your customers' unconscious in a way that they want to be there and spend money. And if people are coming in and leaving without, then it's not working. Something's going on in their unconscious that's preventing them spending money with you. So we could say a lot of Feng Shui is working with the unconscious on all different levels. So in the restaurant example, let's say the floor was a bit sticky, or the person who wanted to leave touched the counter, but she was looking at the menu consciously, that her unconscious picked up that it was a bit sticky, or there was a smell, or something, corner of the eye, one of the other guests looked a bit dangerous. Suddenly, I'm not going to be eating here, it wouldn't be relaxing, but that information doesn't come into our conscious mind, so we just don't know. So the same thing happens every time we come home. Maybe there's a bit of an unfinished project in the hallway, or some clutter, or the kids have done something we asked them not to do. These will all affect our unconscious mind, but we don't know it's happening. What we may know is that, weirdly enough, when we get to the kitchen, we're feeling a bit irritated and then have a go at our husband or wife for no reason whatsoever. But there was probably an unconscious journey that got us into that state. Lots of things were happening in our unconscious mind to provoke all that. But again, because we don't know what's going on in our unconscious, it's all a mystery, we just can't work it out. So a big part, I would say, of a Feng Shui consultation is helping the client go from the street into the home, all the things that they pass through, and then trying to understand how, with them, how that would affect their unconscious. What could be happening? How do you feel about this? How do you feel about that? Even as a Feng Shui consultant, I think, after 2 years of living in a house or flat, we become over familiar, and our conscious mind isn't really seeing it anymore. Unless we make a big effort, we're just over familiarized with the situation, too used to it, and therefore we can't really appreciate what our unconscious mind might be going through. But if you have someone else do it with you, because it's the first time for them, they're seeing everything. Their conscious mind is fully engaged. Here's an interesting thought. If I'm moving around a bit like this, your eyes are picking up all the information, and it's going to the imaging center of our mind, and you'll see my hands moving in real time because there's change and it's catching attention. But things like this and behind me, the static stuff is just on memory. You're not even seeing it anymore. You've memorized the scene. You don't waste energy then processing it all the time. So we just go into memory. So I think it's about 8 to 1, allegedly, that 8 times memory to 1 part of real-time visual content. But that means that in our home we're so used to it, we're so used to the Monet painting on that wall and the print we've got in the museum on that wall and stuff, that we're not even actually seeing it. We don't even notice it anymore. It's only a memory, which is why familiarity becomes a difficulty for us. We don't really appreciate our space anymore. But someone else will see it if they're coming for the first time. Their eyes will be taking all that information and putting it into their minds and registering everything. So the solution for that is change your home often. Move the paintings around, move the furniture, change the cushions, so you've got the red cushions in the living room now and the other cushions are somewhere else. The more we change and move plants, etc., and get new things and give stuff to other people, the more we can do that, the more conscious we become of our homes, and the more we're back in the real home again. So we're playing with the idea of the natural energies of a space and mixing that up with our human responses to a space. Let's try, we'll just try a little exercise. If you'd like to stand up, we'll change our own energy and the energy of the space for a moment. And what we're going to do is make 3 sounds. The sounds are vibration, just like we talked about the light. And you're going to feel the sounds in your body because your body will literally be vibrating. We're going to vibrate our bones. And just put your hands wherever you feel the vibration. So we'll just do a test run first. We'll do 1 sound at a time. So the first sound we're going to make is a fairly deep R sound. So take a big breath in. Very good. So I think everyone somewhere around in this room. So we're going to change it now to a ooh sound. So just put your hands wherever you feel the vibration in your body. Big breath in. Ooh. So moved up? Yes. Okay, I think everyone. Last one, we'll make a sound, and we'll see where that hits us. Okay, so big breath in. right up into our head. If you make it very high, what you probably notice is the deeper the sound, the lower, and as we come up higher. So if you made a very sound, you'll get, and you can even, particularly women, will get it right up onto the top of their head, the crown chakra. So we're going to just sort of take a snapshot of your own energy at the moment. So it could be in emotional terms, could be physical, however you want. Where is it? So I would say mine is mainly in this area. I can feel it strongly here. And then we're going to make the R, U, sound in one breath. And we'll do it 4 times. And then just see if anything's changed inside you. And we'll try and get an idea of if the room feels different as a whole. Okay, so big breath in. Just relax, breathe normally, and then just be conscious of your own self. Has your energy changed? Do you feel lighter or heavier? Does your, maybe some people might feel their head's a bit bigger, some people not so. Some people's energy might feel like it's going up more, some people more calm and relaxed. But the main thing is, has anything changed at all? If not, then we're in trouble, but hopefully things have changed. And we're trying to describe that change through yin-yang. So if your energy feels faster, that's more yang. And then direction. So you can sit down again. So generally we can say that through the 5 elements, 5 transformations, 5 stages, whatever we want to call them, 5 phases, we have 4 directions that chi moves. So one is up. So for me that exercise was more like a wood exercise because my energy does seem to have gone up. Then we have outward, which is fire, like the sun. Sorry, going back, wood could also be called tree. It's a kind of symbolises the energy of a tree moving up into our head. And fire would be outwards, and then soil or earth is downwards, and metal is inwards. So I think maybe we could quickly do it now. 5 minutes, yeah. We'll quickly try and fill them all, and then water is just flowing. So sorry, I have to stand up again. I told you to sit down a bit too early. So again, try to be very conscious of your own body and what's going on inside. And we're developing this yin-yang 5 phases kind of language to describe it. So first one, on your toes, high as you can be, breathe into your chest, look up at the ceiling, up, 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 as high as you can be, keep stretching and breathing strongly inwards up into your chest. So the in-breath is strong and then just relax to breathe out. And relax. So, do you feel any different? Where's your energy now? I would say it's in my shoulders a bit more and neck. For some reason my eyes feel a bit brighter than they did earlier, but maybe your beautiful faces and the view in front of me. Next we'll do fire, so legs apart, spread your toes out, open your fingers, arms back, chest forwards, and then eyes big as they can be, open your mouth. Very good. Relax. Has anything changed? Do you feel more fiery? Which would be, are you more conscious of your fingers and toes? Maybe your cheeks are glowing a bit more? There's more blood coming to the surface? Those would all be signs of more fire achieved. Next we can put your feet about shoulder width apart, fingers down, bend your knees as much as comfortable, and look downwards and breathe into your lower abdomen. And we're just going to start marching. Or we could imagine we're pressing grapes or olives or whatever it is. And we're going to get a nice rhythm, and very conscious of the soles of your feet. Which part is it, your heels or the front of your foot you're on? And you're just feeling this up and down movement as you're marching along. Not too much the side to side, but more the up and down. And then just relax. What do you feel now?
Going nowhere.
Yes. It's the journey, isn't it? The art of going nowhere, but spending a lot of energy at the same time. So for me now it's more my knees, but my upper legs I can feel more strongly. But my head's gone much quieter than the other two. It seems to have come down. Next we'll do metal, which is the inward one. So now grip the floor with your toes. Make a fist, tight fist with your hand. Elbows tight against your sides. Bend your knees. Pull your feet together. Pull your pubic bone up to your ribs and tighten your abdomen. Clench your buttocks together. Shoulders back. Mouth closed with your teeth together. Small eyes looking ahead. No one's going to move you. You're really strong. No one's going to even take you on. And you have that deep inner strength. Don't look down, just look ahead. And then tighten everything up, every muscle you can find, and relax. So I think that gives us a big change. But that's that inward metal. And if we develop that well, then we start to get this inner strength you might be feeling now. Last one is the water tube. So let's imagine we're sea vegetables and you're just going with the tide and the waves. Or you could be a fish and you're trying to bend all the vertebrae in your spine and rotate them a bit. Very good. Okay, and then relax. So, can you feel the difference? So basically what we're trying to do is do the same in our homes. We're saying that if you... you can sit down again. If you can do certain... If you had lots of plants and green colours and space to stretch up and a tall ceiling, you would have generally more of this up energy in the home. If your home is full of bright colours and summer flowers and maybe some mirrors and the light was strong, then we would have more of this fiery summer energy in our home, and we would feel like that more of the time. If we use earth colours, the browns and beige kinds of colours, and low sofas, keep the lighting low, maybe salt lamps on the floor, all those things, we'll have more of that feeling we had when we were doing moving our energy down. if we use greys and silvers and have smaller spaces and keep like seats close together, but maybe smaller chairs and things like that, we'll end up with more of that metal kind of energy. And then if we just have a very flowing, changeable home, things are flexible, we can move things around. Maybe if you lived in a loft kind of apartment and you just got screens and you can change them whenever you want, we would have much more of that water kind of feeling. So I would say these are the sort of basic observational realities we can easily have with Feng Shui. It's just a question of developing our own awareness, consciousness and sensitivity. And tomorrow we're going to expand on that greatly, because we're going to start trying to feel the energy of different spaces. We'll use shops and restaurants and cafes, and then we'll also go to the Tate Modern and start to use our Qi, Yin Yang, 5 transformation element, descriptive language when it comes to paintings and art. How do we respond? What happens? What's happening to my energy? And is that one that's going to be useful to me? Do I need more of that, or should I actually move away from it and have less for a while? So we're going to have a break now. Yep. So we'll have a break now, and it's a good time to mix your energies. So there's people in the room you don't know. Be friendly and smiley and say hi to each other and get to know people, because we're here with a similar kind of mindset and we may as well exchange energy. Thank you very much.